If you like what you're hearing, put your money where your media is by supporting ad-free independent podcasts like this one. Go to lauraflanders.com/membership, and thank you. Hi, I'm Laura Flanders, and this is The Laura Flanders Show, the TV and radio program that seeks to raise radical spirits by interviewing forward-thinking people with real models of shifting power from the few to the many in the worlds of arts, entrepreneurship, and politics. This week on The Laura Flanders Show, a special report from Athens, Greece. A lot of people remember the story of Syriza, the progressive left government that took power after the financial crisis here on a promise of fighting austerity. Syriza eventually conceded exactly to that austerity regime and has been responsible for implementing it. But what a lot of people don't know or know less about are all the other ways that Greeks responded to the financial crisis and the creative ways they found to meet the needs of their community, the economic, social, and political needs. People today look at those initiatives, some of which we'll talk about on today's show, and think perhaps in those lies the foreground of a reality that needs to shift before we can have new forms of government. So before governments of a new sort take power, do people in communities need to make power in a different way? That's what we're going to be talking about here on The Laura Flanders Show. Welcome. In 2015, in a nation burdened with debt and in the depths of a depression, Greeks elected the left-leaning Syriza party, which had pledged to resist the debt payment plan demanded by the European banks. Athenians Christos Giovanopoulos and Anna Laskari weren't imagining that the new government would solve all their nation's problems, but they were shocked when not even a year after taking power, Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras called a referendum on the austerity plan and then did exactly the opposite of the majority vote. I sat down with Giovanopoulos, a longtime activist and founding member of the Hub for Social Economy, Empowerment and Innovation, at Laskari's flat. She's a filmmaker and an artist.
Between the years of 2010 and 2015, when Syriza was elected, there were many different kinds of movements that grew up in Greece. It was the beginning of a new kind of political culture that was based on a grassroots, self-organized structures. Directly after that, it comes the crisis, the deterioration of the conditions, of the labor conditions, of the living standards, of the income of the people. It is, rapid. It was like a shock to the Greek people. By the September of 2012, we had about 200 self-organized groups in education, health, food, without middlemen, time banks, cooperatives, etc., started being existing and built. The change, that was happening in the Greek society was like a huge kind of movement, a huge urgency, and old activists were reactivated, new people, that have never done anything to do with politics. They were seeing hope, and they wanted somebody in this level of political power to represent them. Syriza was an opportunity for them to kick out the old political establishment, at least. This is what they were hoping for, and to stop the deterioration of their kind of conditions.
The biggest disappointment, and I would say that we suffer as a society, it was the referendum. It was the first gathering, a syntagma that so many people were down to see the results, and after the results of the referendum, everybody was rushed to Syntagma, and it was the first time after 2012 that we witnessed that. 2013, 2014, it was kind of things were like okay, demonstrations were just passing through the square, a square that was occupied in 2011, 2012. It's packed, Syntagma, and then Tsipras comes to announce oh, great victory, and you could hear it that he was not pleased with that.
There were blackmails that if, from the side of the Troika, that if you don't accept all the terms and conditions that all the package of the austerity measures, of the bailout, we will kick you out of the euro.
People wanted to react. People came out and voted, and no, not the way they put it, against euro. Because if it was another referendum, euro or no euro, the yes would have been high. What people were against, because the way the negotiations were taking place, how they treat the crisis, and how they apply all these austerity measures.
After this victory of 62%, that the people were enthused for the no and the blow and the defiance against all the austerity packages, against the Troika, against the Greek political establishment, etc. The Prime Minister calls a meeting, a joint meeting with the rest of the political parties in order to see how they can reach a new deal with the Troika. And in reality, a few days later, they sign up, they put their signature in an agreement that was worse than the one that the people rejected in the referendum. In the first 2 years of the austerity and the public cuts, we had 35% of the Greek population without countering, the refugees and the undocumented migrants, which then it adds up to 40%, at least, without any access to the public healthcare system. So this, as you can imagine, in a very short period of time, changed drastically the way people felt about their fate, about their position in this society. This was the big shock that kind of created this force of anger, but then of hope, or looking for hope.
I believe that people do vote, and people are used to vote, and people are used to representative democracy, and that people don't really believe in their own power yet. What happened those years left of revolt and the occupations and demonstrations, they gave hope to people, and I think they gave them a sense of strength, which found its way to alternative ways of organizing. The communities that Christos mentioned, the health centers, the cooperatives, the alternative economies, and all sort of collectives that operate right now in all over Greece, and trying through actions of self-organization and management to have a sense of power.
That was Anna Laskari and Christos Giovanopoulos. As part of his work with Solidarity for All, a platform for the grassroots solidarity initiatives that grew up in the crisis in Greece, Giovanopoulos came to know the Without Middleman Collective. In a lower middle-class neighborhood, the worker-owned grocery store sells products at prices well below the supermarkets. It grew up in the financial crisis when unemployment was raging and benefits were cut. But as Vasilia Kavora and Takis Papatsafiropoulos explained, Without Middleman became much more than simply a source of cheap food for the neighborhood.
This is our cooperative, our Without Middleman cooperative. This is where we do the distribution of the goods once the first week of every month. We collect orders of the consumers, and the producers bring their stuff here, and the consumers come and for 3 or 4 days and pick up what they have ordered. The prices of the products here are 30 to 40% lower than in the market. And this is exactly because we wipe out the middlemen merchants. The best thing it is that through this transaction, the consumers, the producers, and the volunteers of this cooperative, they come together, they meet each other, and they create, a community. It is very difficult to have a direct relation between the consumers, the users of the group, and the producers. But what they do, it is that each product, it's on the package, it has a label with all the contact details of the producers. Initially, we were trying to give a possibility for a better use of the income of the citizens. The idea is that, the aim is whatever small profit is produced from this operation to return back again to this community of people and to the larger community, to the community of the volunteers and to the larger community. What we do, I don't see it as competitive to the rest, but as an initiative that we try to make them better, make the whole system better. And the enemy of the good is the best, the better. We try to prove that capital is not necessary in order to have a trade exchange. What is enough? It is a social collaboration. After the few years, that we operate, we have started to dream, to imagine a different way of distribution of goods. Instead of the concentration of the whole distribution in 4 or 5 big supermarket chains, we go towards the other direction, and we imagine as a network of small autonomous distribution places. We had learned to live with plenty, okay, and suddenly we were left with nothing. And in this condition, we learned how to share things with each other. And we can live with less, but we can live with dignity. And we don't care only about our lives, but also the lives of the other people. And this is something, valuable that we learned. We need to open up, towards the society to better our own peculiar kind of conditions as a common interest. We cannot do it if we don't take initiatives to change the larger conditions.
That was Vasilia Kavora and Takis Papatsiferopoulos, worker owners of the Without Middleman Cooperative Market in Athens, Greece. This is the Laura Flanders Show. I'm Laura. You're listening to a special report from Athens, 2 years after the election of the Syriza government in 2015. Want to do away with the middleman and keep this program free? Become a sustaining subscriber at lauraflanders.com for as little as $2 a month. You may not realize it, but with every gift, you're cooperating in the making of collaboratively made media. Do it. And if you want to see the interviews in this week's show and the food and produce on the shelves of the grocery market, watch at our website or on YouTube, Free Speech TV and Link TV. We'll be back right after this musical break featuring Hook Crook by Antibalas from their latest studio album, Where the Gods Are in Peace. More to come.
So broken, made by spinal doctor who can cut the cook. The system we want now. Let's make it fair and build it. Made to align with all of us. To workers and fellow students, teaching teachers, let us do it together. We now on crossroads of alignment. Each one teach one, your way.
In the United States, a lot of people talk about meeting communities' needs in alternative ways, whether it's healthcare or education or governance. Here in Athens, a lot of people have an experience of actually creating those realities on the ground, like this Solidarity Health Clinic in North Philadelphia, a suburban neighborhood of Athens.
We started this self-organized social clinic.
Dimitra Zenica, psychologist at the social clinic near Philadelphia.
Because there were a lot of people that they didn't have social security to the public health system. Through these 3 years, we have served about 5,000 people, more or less. Some of them used to have work, they have a good salary, and they could afford all their expenses about medicine and doctors and all this. and now they don't have a work, so they don't have even any kind of income, so they can't afford not even pay their few euro for medicines. Half of them are immigrants and half of them are Greek people. Okay, most of them are from Pakistan, from Albany, few Syrian refugees, and from Bulgaria, from Russia. Most of them are coming because they have panic attacks. Most of them because of this situation, economical situation. We try people to realize that they have to open their minds to understand that they have to fight for their future and their health, their work. We don't have to give up for our rights about medicine, about doctors, about hospitals, about anything that we pay through taxes for this. After the election, they felt that now what? For what we have to try? There is no any other political party that can represent us. But they don't have hopes, they don't have solutions, they don't have any horizon that something will change and something will be better. And this is very crucial for panic attacks. We try to find the powerful things they already have, because as we used to say that if they arrived until here, they do have power. They can go on. Just they have to remember their strength and with them to find again the hope and to create new solutions, new ways of living.
That was Dimitra Zenica, psychologist, systemic psychotherapist, and counselor at the social clinic of near Philadelphia, just outside Athens. As we were talking, volunteer Mohammed Awais from Pakistan came up and wanted to share his experience of the Solidarity Clinic. Dimitra was good enough to translate. Here's Mohammed.
Είμαστε σαν μια οικογένεια. Όλοι οι γιατροί και είμαστε στους γιατρούς. Όσο έρχομαι, χαίρομαι.
He says that he feels like he belongs to a family with the doctors, and when he's here, he helps them and they help him and his friends. He says the same, that it was really a problem when he gets friends in the hospital that they behave as like human. Because in the hospital, because in the hospital they said, you're from Pakistan, so stay away, wait outside. Here it's not like this, they behave them like human. It's very moving. This is our profit. This is the profit, yes. That some people who were, out of the system, here it's not like this. This is the difference. But this has nothing to do with clinics or walls. It has to do with people.
Dimitra Zenica and Mohammed Weiss spoke to me at the free medical clinic at near Philadelphia, just outside Athens. This is the Laura Flanders Show, and I'm Laura. You're listening to a special report on power, making it and taking it. Can governments, even left-wing ones, govern differently if society hasn't changed first? If you find these programs thought-provoking, give us a review on iTunes and spread the word. We rely on you. Go to lauraflanders.com for more. How to find hope in the face of hopelessness, reclaim public space and creative resistance, says filmmaker Anna Lascari. In her flat, she described the Athens report she directed. It's a collective documentation project that covers life and protest in Athens since 2008. It's contributed to by citizen journalists all across the city and the country. She talked about it with me and Solidarity economics activist Christos Giovanopoulos.
The Athens Report is a platform, it's a collective archive that classifies videos and photographs of people that participated in occupations and demonstrations throughout the years 2008 to 2015, which is the second time that the Syriza government came to power. It collects those archives to show the public space, to see how people reclaim the public space through their actions, and those videos are taken only all by people that participated in, they were active participants in those actions. We're collecting interviews from people that lived in the route of a trolley, that's the project is based. Interviews of people that lived certain years, Greeks or migrants that lived in Greece, through austerity, their ways of suffering, their ways of decrease of income, losing their jobs, and seeing their communities to deteriorate. Austerity meant a lot of things. The first hit was people lost jobs. We had a lot of stores that closed down. Salaries dropped, insecurity moved in, and feeling that you cannot plan a future.
People, they're confused, they're completely disillusioned on the political scale. And I think the tendency it is that the people don't want to, they deny even more actively any prospect or any belief in representational democracy. But the people carry on doing and developing their grassroots work in this form of creative resistances. I call them creative resistances. It is not that they ignore the issue of political power, but rather they understand in more concrete ways that what does it mean to create power, and to create a different sort of power that is not this hierarchical way, but to create the power to change the world, exactly because you create the material conditions and the everyday culture and the imagination that people can share in order to change, things are done.
It's a lot of experience and a lot of content that's being produced here. We worked in different ways within collectives, organizing demonstrations, reclaiming public space, having clinics and all that. All this, I think, needs to be translated to real tools for people to use.
The experience of the disappointment, disillusionment that we have gone through, or betrayal, some they call it, it highlights only the impossibility of changing things just by taking power. Transformative social change, it has to be an organic process that opens up spaces that shares power, that you reclaim the power to create your material conditions of your life, but also your imaginative conditions of your life, how you would like to live in this world, and not only to fight for survival.
So when it comes to finding new ways to organize society, some Greeks are finding inspiration in surprising places, like in the community of migrant women organized by Melissa here in Athens.
We are at the day center of Melissa Network in the heart of Athens, Victoria Square. Melissa is a network for migrant and refugee women who live in Greece. Melissa means honeybee in Greek. And the idea of the day center was to create a kind of beehive. This also explains our vision of society. It stands for what our vision is, which is a society as an open beehive of communication, creativity, and exchange.
My name is Marzia Jamili. I'm from Afghanistan. I'm 16 years old. I was born as a refugee. I came to Greece last year. I was very happy to come here, and I feel myself very safe, because when we were in the camp was not very safe, and I feel very happy in this place. In Melissa now it's like my house, and they're like my family.
In Melissa we have the involvement of women from over 45 countries, as well as many of the most active organizations, women's groups, associations and organizations. So it's the long-term migrants who are actually involved in the implementation of our current program, because long-term migrant women are the ones who know better than anybody else, or who are better positioned to know what works in terms of integration and what doesn't work. We've created all together a sort of holistic approach to what we perceive of as integration, and it's based on literacy support, psychosocial support, art and creativity, information sessions. So we do a lot of information sessions on social rights, legal rights, labor rights, all the different sets of things that they ought to know. Referral, so we have a referral pathway in case people need case management. Capacity building, so skills, either through experts that we employ or through community people that we employ who may be doing cooperative training or team building or other skills like first aid and other things. And self-care. And self-care is very important, especially for women, especially after such a long and arduous journey, because it somehow shifts the focus back on themselves and give them a bit of space to look after their own well-being.
They make me very strong, and they give me hope about the future. When I came here, I found everything here. They tell me that everyone can be as their self, and after that I feel, yes, I'm as a person that I can do everything. Now I feel that at first I was like a bird, but now I feel that I can be a prime minister in the future.
For us, aid is something that someone gives to someone else, so it entails a passive recipient, and we don't perceive refugees or migrants as passive recipients of aid. They are active agents of social change. Our belief was that the moment you create a solid space, a solid ground under their feet, they will be able to do wonders. The thing we witness on a daily basis, from the simplest to the most abstract and complex, is the solutions, the simple solutions that people have to find, the strategies they build. I believe that that's where we're going to find the hope for the future. We were doing one activity which was on International Women's Day, and people were writing different wishes that they had for the future. And a friend of Marzia wrote on a piece of paper that I want to be a commander or a surgeon. So we thought that if we can accommodate this range of possibility, then there's something happening here.
So that's it from me this week from Athens, Greece. You've been watching the Laura Flanders Show. You can find at our website links to all the organizations we've talked with and more information about what's happening here and how you can plug in. The show's produced by yours truly, Laura Flanders, and supervising producer Anna Barsan. Our team that pulls it all together includes Monica Mohapatra, Natasha Elena Ullman, Jeannie Hopper, Danica D'Souza, Emily Allen, Charlotte Prager, and Diego Romero Montiel. Write to me. I enjoy hearing from you. That's Laura, Laura, at lauraflanders.com. Tell me what you think. I do my best to respond. The Laura Flanders Show is made possible by the Novo Foundation and listeners like you. So become a member today. Thank you for your time and your ongoing support. We could not do it without you. Stay kind, stay curious. Till the next time, I'm Laura Flanders.